What's up, y'all? Lately, you noticed I've been doing a lot of kind of looks at quote unquote smaller brands. Small brands are brands like Clay and Brand Black and Community Made and Rock Deep and 99 Products. Those are small brands. When I say smaller brands, I'm talking less than the 23 billion and 40 billion that Nike and Adidas are doing, and the 5 billion that New Balance and Under Armour, 3 billion, whatever it is. Smaller brands are much easier to look at for a discussion where we can analyze a number of different things. And today's small brand that I'm looking at is Brooks. And the reason I'm looking at Brooks is because it allows us a chance to look at research from analysts who for years have stated that where is it, 40 years so far, performance footwear is very challenged. And that's on the Baltimore Sun, an article. And this has been the constant discussion point for a few years, that performance footwear is trending down. Now, during last year with Corona and the fact that people started running again, performance went back up. So the same industry analyst stated that performance is going to bounce back now. So less than a year after he said this, and then using COVID as an example of why performance is bouncing back, considerably undercuts. And this is, if I'm sitting in a class with students, which I'm not teaching right now. If I'm sitting in the class with students and I'm saying, hey, how do you take research from an analyst and then juxtapose it with research from the analyst to show that in many instances, when we get data can be moved in the direction that we want it to move to say what we want it to say. And that's not to question or say that this analyst doesn't know what he's talking about. The man has a lot of data, but to go from one extreme over the years, where I wrote this article in 2018, why people should stop saying performance is soft or slow. I wrote this article and I was explaining that because of the advancements in footwear, a running shoe, the Nike Pegasus, and a shoe that's not in a performance category, Nike 10 June, are basically the same shoes. One's just much cheaper and doesn't have the technology, but can you run in a 10 June? Yes. And I explained in this article that you can go to a park and see countless people running and walking in the 10 June. But this takes us away from Brooks. And the reason Brooks holds a very interesting discussion point, because Sarah Germano, who writes for the Financial Times, I think she writes for the Financial Times, she just wrote an article about Nike getting rid of their categories of isolating things into basketball, this. And they're going to kind of frame it in men's footwear, women's footwear, kids' footwear. And then you'll have things that are underneath that. And they're like, that's very problematic because it no longer isolates those things. Well, this is why Nike is potentially doing that. Performance and casual are one and the same. You can buy a shoe from Community Made, and it's a casual shoe, right? Very small brand. And that shoe will have Vibram outsoles, which is a technical outsole. So all shoes are made with elements of performance now. The lines are too blurred to separate the two and distinguish a shoe that's like a Pegasus or a 10 June. It doesn't make real sense to distinguish the two except for the tech and the cost. But Brooks, why did I do all that talking just to come back to Brooks? Brooks is a company that shows us a progression. All right. So we go to Barron's and we look at Brooks, and we got Brooks market share in all running shoes with 7%. But in the performance segment, where shoes retail overall, it commands 21% of the market. So we go right here. Brooks revenue rose from about 511 in 2017 to 644 million. Now, that's 1 year. Let's go to the next year, 2018. The gain was driven by a 20% 644 million in 2018, 26% year-over-year growth. Let's go to another year of Brooks. Now, I'm staying on Brooks here for a reason. Brooks Sports sees 3.5% revenue gain in 2019. Brooks, and I'm getting to the point, I want you guys to stay with me here. Last one, 2020, Brooks Running sees 49% incrementally over the last 4.5, 5 years. Brooks has seen an increase in revenue. Do you realize that Brooks does not make a casual shoe anymore? They are strictly focused on a niche category in performance running. However, their niche, they've grown so well because they've made some fantastic technological advancements. And if you guys have seen a lot of the different discussions that I've had, we'll go to women's shoes and just go for road. If you've seen a lot of the discussions I've had about brands and the brands that are doing very well, I always state that the brands who are innovating are the ones who are winning. So for all of those years that this analyst was stating that performance was down and that brands should focus on athleisure, I kept saying over and over again, that's not right. You guys are going to listen and prevent yourselves from actually capturing or controlling your niche market and doing and making products that will inspire engagement with the consumer. Another reason Brooks is intriguing, like I said, was because they aren't making lifestyle shoes. They've moved completely away from that. They're not looking at athleisure and all of this stuff. But are Brooks worn for leisure? Definitely, yes. 1,000,000 times, yes. We know that people are wearing those shoes because we see them at the mall. And here's the biggest issue, or the biggest one. We look at all of these accounts that are losing relationships with the big brands. They are so deathly afraid of losing Nike that they're overlooking the progress that a company like Brooks has shown, and what they're fighting for is a consumer that Nike will dominate with, because that consumer is really looking only at fashion. And I'm trying to be politically correct here. They're catering to a consumer who you don't have to sell to. That consumer is going to walk in and know exactly that they're looking for a colorful Nike. And that's the best way I can put that without sounding politically incorrect. So what am I saying here? Brooks is a brand that has shown consistent growth over 4 years through a time period where analysts kept saying that performance is dead. And they've done so through innovation, and they've done so with, man, they got these incredible sections on their website of inspiring stories. And when you look at it, you know, Black Girls Run. And I was looking for this section right here. Obviously, the majority of the people wearing Brooks are white. There is an opportunity for those performance running shops to find a new demographic, and we've been talking about this on LinkedIn a lot. If they figure out a way to bring in the demographic who's not being catered to at all. And that's a demographic that actually is looking at fitness, and they're looking at style, and they're looking at performance. But this is one of those topics that really needs a big expansion. If it was a class, we'd do it for about 3 classes, I think, and we really dive into this. But what do you guys think about that? Brooks is an extremely impressive company that I think you guys should take a look at. And I think I'll end it there. See you guys on the next one. I hope everybody's well. It's cold. I still haven't turned the heat on in the office. Peace, y'all.